Hello, my dear one heirs. Happy to see you again. Hope you've had a good week, and I'd like to welcome you again back to our class. We're now entering Module 3. Just like that, we're close to the midpoint. That's why I encourage you to keep on running. I know that it's very much hit the ground running, but I'm very, very proud of you guys. Stay in the race. Stay in the race. So before we actually get into our module, into the logistics of it, I want to start this week's module with a punny joke. So check it out. It's quite a cute one. What type of sandals do frogs wear? What type of sandals do frogs wear? Open-toed. So with that, we start. We look at our syllabus here, the signpost that we have ahead. As you can see, we have a new thematic unit entitled Textual Analysis. Ooh, here's the things that we have for this week. We're going to have our first current event, which I'm going to explain in this video. Next one is our second paper, Entertainment as Political, and its corresponding brainstorm. And that's going to be due at the end of this week's module 2. So with that, let's enter into our canvas. Let's go into this portal here. Here's Hey Arnold, just chilling as usual. All right, here we go. So, in the other video, where it's the actual textual analysis lecture, go into this folder that says lesson lecture particularities. Here's what you'll find all the handouts that I reference in there that you're going to need. Okay, next. So, yeah, there's the assignment link for the handout after you complete it, and that's the handout that goes with this week's lecture. All right, so I would encourage you to actually pause this video now and watch the textual analysis lecture. Do that right now. And this task will actually make more sense when you're ready. So check this out. Watch this cartoon, which is our text here, and it's The Sneetches by Dr. Seuss. Yay, cartoons. Here's our text. And what you're going to do, just like in the textual analysis lecture, you're going to take notes of things that you notice or stand out to you, whether that's a particular lyric from a song or just something that you see visually, like something that stands out to you. And that's actually going to be your denotation. You're just going to just jot down some notes. And then based on that, consider some indirect suggestions of those things that you noticed. Because the whole point, what we're going to do for this discussion board is that we're going to create a thesis based on the Sneetches. Now, check this out here. I also have this in the prompt itself. Where did it go? Where did it go? What's happening? Sometimes it gets like zoomed out weird. Oh, there it is. It's on the right side. Okay, so as we're creating our thesis statement, a good potential model for your thesis is as follows. What is the larger message or theme of your artifact? Like, what's the ultimate takeaway? What's the ultimate takeaway of this video, the Sneetches? How does your artifact reflect this? And then answer the implications. So what? Why does this larger message matter? Why is this so important? Why should anybody care? Are there any connections to real life? Make that clear. So that's a good working model for a thesis here for a textual analysis. And that's going to be your task. And I have this little sample for another story, The Lorax. In the story entitled The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. Okay, so we say what it is. The writer forwards a perspective of eco-criticism. Through this view, the ideal of industry is vilified by way of the antagonist, who is known as the Onceler. Conversely, the ideal of nature is celebrated, as embodied by the story's protagonist, known as the Lorax. So, I would actually even add to this about like what the larger message is. Like, I might even add to this little sample here that the overall message of the Lorax is the fact that we have the conservation of our planet in our hands, and we have to protect it, right? I just outright say the message. And as you can see, what's missing there from this little sample is also how the artifact reflects that, right? So in this case, I might even add to it that it reflects it through its portrayal of both characters. Number one, the Lorax. The Lorax is like the he's like the activist, right? He's like the green activist, and he speaks for the trees. He speaks for the trees. So in here, I might say like that's like the larger message of, if you guys haven't seen the Lorax, it's a good one. But say what the larger message is, how the artifact reflects it. So it's not enough to just say that it reflects it. Say, how does it reflect it? Does it reflect it through what you saw between characters? Does it reflect it with what you saw in the songs themselves, or the symbols, or anything else, colors? And then why this larger message matters, connections to real life, etc. So as you can see with this little guide here, you're becoming quite good editors, because now we're seeing that we could make this working thesis better by following that. But here's, just want to read this, what it has. In the story entitled The Lorax by Dr. Seuss, the writer forwards a perspective of eco-criticism. Through this view, the ideal of industry is vilified by way of the antagonist, who's known as the Onceler. Conversely, the ideal of nature conservation is celebrated, as embodied by the story's protagonist, known as the Lorax. With our current state of climate change, this message for the importance... So this is the so what, right? The importance of nature conservation is just as significant today as it was back in 1971 when Dr. Seuss wrote this story. So as you're watching the sneeches and you're taking your notes, and you're those notes being like surface level things that you notice, everything from golden quotes to things that you're seeing, and then trying to consider what are the indirect suggestions of them, what might they indicate, just to kind of help guide you, like, okay, well, to take you to the ultimate takeaway of this story, like what's the larger message, and then has a how it reflects it. Not only that, it reflects it, and then make sure to answer the so what question, why it matters. And you're like, okay, why? You might be asking, well, why are we doing this? You're going to be happy, because it actually connects to our essay. So go ahead and download it. There's the link in the prompt here. Sorry, in this folder here. Entertainment as Political Essay Particularity. So go in here, and we're going to download the prompt. Download it. There we go. Bingo. Ooh, very cool. So first of all, let's talk about the title. Just entertainment. What's it mean? Entertainment as political. Now that word political, it's just an interchangeable term here for a value or an ideology or a perspective or a message, right? Don't think that it has to do with government or anything like that. It's just not compulsorily, at least. Like, think of it like that. Think of it, entertainment as political. This is the work of textual analysis we're going to do here. We're going to unearth the deeper message, the deeper takeaway. Look what we have in our pictures. Dr. Seuss, Avatar. Does anyone know Spock from Star Trek? I Love Lucy. So check out this paper. Through our look at semiotics, we've seen that entertainment can indeed be political and carry with it its own connotations. So it's overall deeper messages, right? Now is your chance to contribute to the conversation with a cultural analysis of your own. Here's your task. Write an essay that examines a cultural entertainment artifact. This could be anything from a movie, a book, a video game, a TV or Netflix series episode. It's important that you choose only one, not the whole series. A music video, a comedy sketch, satire, etc. You know what's really good for this? Children's books. I really like children's books for this, because children's books have they have the story and the illustrations, and they work in conjunction with one another. And if there's like a particular song, then choose a music video because it has both the lyrics and the visuals. So unearth the ideological work that said artifact does. So basically, you're considering, what idea is valued, glorified, vilified to help your thinking. But basically, you're doing here exactly what you're doing in your thesis for the Sneetches. In fact, if you happen to like the work that you do in your Sneetches discussion board, you like the thesis and you want to run with it, then absolutely you can write your paper on that Sneetches cartoon there and continue your work forward. So here it is again. What is the larger message or theme of your artifact? Whatever you choose, how does your artifact reflect this? And then why is this message important? Why does it matter? Any connections to real life, etc. So choose something that you love, that you think is so cool. If you're into anime, then choose an anime episode. If you're into a particular band or musical artist, then choose a song that you really like, right? Choose a music video, and you can have the lyrics. You can look at what the lyrics say, as well as the visuals, right? So in other words, just like we did in our textual analysis lesson, you're going to do the same exact work when you're moving from surface level, which is denotation, to connotation, to unpack the meaning and implications of your artifact. So what's the larger message? What's the takeaway within it? And why does it matter? And that's essentially your task. It's very important to answer this so what, which is the implications, why it matters, right? Why is it an important message? Here's how your thinking could potentially go. You'd be like, I noticed that a feature of my chosen artifact is X. Like, for example, maybe you're watching an episode of an anime and you notice that the protagonist every time is like full of anger or something, like there's like a lot of red behind him, or if he's like greedy, then there's like green, like maybe a green car passes by, or like a green billboards behind him or something. So it always starts like that, with what you're noticing, right? Which is denotation, surface level. And then you consider, okay, what could that indirectly suggest? Is it symbolizing anything? Is it standing for anything? Does it mean anything culturally, socially? You're considering that. Here's another one. This is important. Okay, I noticed that the resolution, meaning like, here's like if you're doing it on, say, a movie or an episode, the ending in fiction, the ending is really important, because the ending in a text, because it's the takeaway, it's what you're left with, right? There was a problematic I Love Lucy episode of where like Ricky and Lucy get into this argument over like money, and essentially they end up saying like, okay, Ricky's like, if you entered the workforce, you wouldn't do well. And she's like, okay, well, if you tried cooking and cleaning here at home, then you wouldn't do well. So then they switch roles, and then Lucy goes to try to get it's the one where she tries to get work at a chocolate factory, and things run amok. Just things go horribly. Same thing with Ricky, and he tries to cook the chicken, and with a pressure cooker, and the chicken explodes and it gets stuck on the ceiling. And the thing is that, like, so they both make a mess of things, and the episode just kind of ends like well, I guess we'll like kind of like stay in our place or something. But so it's like, if it ends that way and you're like, okay, is it problematic, or what do you make of the ending? What's the larger takeaway? And of course you're responding to it, you're reacting. Like, I would say that ending was problematic, because like, absolutely, women can enter the workforce, and men can cook and clean at home, and I feel, at least. So yeah, absolutely, everyone can enter the workforce, everyone can cook, everyone can clean. So here's some guiding questions. consider who's glorified, who's vilified. Here's another thing. What values might certain characters be representing? Like, maybe you're looking at, say, like a superhero movie, and what values does the protagonist represent? Maybe kindness, generosity, courteousness. And what about the antagonist, the villain? They may be representing violence, impulsiveness, greed. What else? Okay. Is one group affected by a message that this piece of entertainment connotes? Is one group celebrated and another one vilified? Why does this matter? What's at stake? Anything else? So, certainly, superhero movies do it a lot. Like, I'm thinking a lot about Batman, and I'm thinking how always the villains have some sort of scar or like a burn mark, a Two-Face, and what's intense about the villains is that they very much have very strong mental health issues too. So the thing about like cultural artifacts is that they have a very strong impact because they're received by so many, and representation comes into play. How something is portrayed is very important. So, what I was saying about the Batman is that it doesn't present people with like a disability well, or like a mental health issues, or they're always the villains. That's a bit problematic. So, okay, but basically, this is like your main task. Try to look at like what the larger message is or takeaway of your artifact, because it's not going to outright go and say, okay, here's what it's about. It's your job to unpack that and to uncover how it does it, right? And then why this larger message matters. Yeah. So avoid the temptation of only summarizing. This is not an assignment to say, okay, here's everything that happens in the Sneetches, and you just give me like a summary of it, like as if it was IMDb. Sure, you use plot points to support your discovery of the larger message, the larger takeaway, but it's not a task to completely summarize, right? What we're doing is analysis. We're unpacking what symbols might mean, or what's the larger takeaway, right? What are you left with as a viewer, as a reader? Okay, so resist that temptation of only summarizing. Use this as your guide. This is the main thing that's going to help you. The rest are just like guiding questions to help your thinking, but focus on this. That's like the biggest help. Format requirements. Okay, so MLA as usual. A minimum of at least 3.5 full double-spaced pages. We do need a works cited page, remember, with our intertextuality. Give credit where credit is due. In this case, obviously, since you're working with a cultural artifact, then that's a secondary source, right? Actually, it's a primary source here. Distribution of points. Here's the dates. So the brainstorm is actually going to be due at the end of this module, which will be by Sunday, April 11. And the workshop, we're going to be doing that. You're going to be responsible for posting your rough draft of at least 2 pages by next Wednesday. So for next week's module, the final draft is due the 19th. So those are the dates. Now, I also have these student sample essays here. Oh. Where did they go? They're here. So check out these student sample essays so you can see what a potential iteration of this assignment could look like. Mainly, just choose something that you really like. Like me personally, I would choose a children's picture book. I think there's so much to unpack there. And here's another thing too. It's very important that you choose like one episode to focus on, not like a whole series of something. If it's like a series, you're not going to choose all My Hero Academia. Choose one episode, right? That always makes your tasks much more manageable. So yeah. And same thing, like if you're going to choose a song, choose one music video, not like the whole repertoire of an artist. All right, so that is that. Absolutely, if you guys have questions or even just want to have a space to bounce back ideas, then let me know. And if you want to schedule a Zoom meeting or just send me a message, an email. All right, let's check out the next thing. Don't want to... Oh, I know what's next. Our current event. Why is it like this? Zoom out. You know what I think I have to do? Actual size. Why is it like this? Oh. All right, there we go. I'm trying, folks. I'm trying. All right. This is really strange. Maybe if I do this, maybe it's too wide. Technical issues are real, guys. Especially now. All right. Let's go to next in our module. Next thing we have is our current event assignment. So, increase size. The camera increased. That's funny. So, excuse me, guys. There we go. All right. So, a big thing with this class is an overall recurring understanding that writing performs social action. Writing does things. And what better way to see this than through an article, right? It's doing something. So for this assignment, you're going to find an article about a written article about something that you care about. If you're into video games, then find an article that pertains to video games from a credible source. Okay, if you're into maybe outer space and aeronautics or something, then choose something that you care about. Or engineering, what are they doing at Tesla, or what's happening in the world. Find an article, something that you care about. If you're into music, maybe a band that you liked just released a new song or album, there's an article about that. So find something that you care about. You're not going to choose about something that says like how the value of gold ingots is decreasing if you don't care about it. No, choose something that you care about. Sports, choose a sports article. So in your current event, you're going to talk about what's happening, why does it matter, who's affected. So you're going to say, what's happening in it. And then how does it do its rhetorical work? Remember how we were talking about that writing does something? So in the same, with saying this, writing has an objective, it has a purpose, it has something that it wants to do. With the rhetorical work, it does it in a certain way. So you're considering, how is the writer achieving this objective, right? And I have this here that says rhetorical devices, and it's going to help for these assignments. So feel free to pepper these in. So when we talk about logos, we're talking about a logical appeal, right? I like that it has these first three letters. Logic helps me to remember it. So let's say you're reading an article and it's about why you should ditch that fossil fuel vehicle and instead get an electric car. So if they're using statistics and numbers and figures and pie charts and they're appealing to your logic, then that's logos. Ethos, it's an appeal to ethics. And ethics explores right and wrong, right? So maybe it's an article, and it's making it clear why you have to recycle, and maybe it's talking about how it's making it clear how the plastic gets into the oceans, and the turtles are getting trapped in the plastic rings of the cans, right? And it's like that's not. It's like a sense of, no, this is not right. So that's a move of ethos. In addition, ethos is also establishing the author as a credible source. So, in the past, in my classes, we were looking at the "I Have a Dream" speech by Martin Luther King, and when he's presented, he spoke at the March on Washington in front of the White House. So, in front of the Washington Monument, actually. Sorry, not Washington. Lincoln. Lincoln Monument. So he's presented as America's moral leader. See how that sets him up as an authority figure, and the fact that it presents him as someone that you can listen to, a credible, valuable source. That's also ethos. So the last one is pathos. There's really no like three letters that sounds like what it is, but this is one you have to remember. So pathos is actually it's from Greek. And look at this. Pathos, Greek for suffering or experience. Look at this one. Look from Merriam-Webster. I think this one's better. Suffering, experience, or emotion. So when something is appealing to emotion, that's pathos. Like maybe if you're reading something that's tugging at your heartstrings, then that's pathos. So these are all tools that writers use to try to achieve their objective, their purpose. So this part is kind of like one of those things where you have to work backwards, where after you read the article, you're like, okay, what's the writer trying to do with this article, right? What's their objective? If it's maybe in a sports article and it's talking about like why a player is so invaluable to their team, a particular player, maybe Mookie Betts from the Dodgers or something. So you're like, okay, if that's the objective of celebrating Mookie Betts and really saying that maybe it's like the best thing that's happened to the Dodgers in a long time or something, like if that's the objective, then how is the writer doing that, right? Are they using statistics? Are they using numbers? Are they using certain words that elicit particular responses in you, the reader? So that's what we mean when we say how it's doing its rhetorical work. Consider the genre too, because the genre is a very good indicator for the type of objective that it's trying to achieve, right? If it's an opinion piece in the newspaper, an editorial, then a lot of times it's trying to persuade, right? Or trying to get you to see a particular perspective. If it's an expository piece, it's exposing you to information, so you have something that's happening, right? So you can consider that. Like, try to think about, what's the genre like? How is it acting as a way to help frame your thinking about what the objective is? What's your reaction? Obviously, you're not only going to report. You're also going to say, you're going to respond to it. Why do you care about it? Obviously, you should care about it because it's something that you should choose that you like. That's why this is fun. You got to choose something that you like. Does it affect you? How does it make you feel? What does it mean on a global scale, if at all? Your source must be credible. So nothing from National Enquirer about some top celebrity giving birth to werewolf twins. No. As actually we're going to see in our we're going to have a librarian research workshop in the for our final research paper, and that's one of the main things that we look at is the importance of being able to assess the credibility of a source. So make sure that you get an article from a credible source. Okay, so there's going to be at least 2 double-spaced pages. Of course, you're going to have a works cited page because you're working with an article, right, in MLA. And actually, I have some student samples here that you can look at. There we go. Oh, I think my face is too big here. Ah, there it is. So check out these student samples so you can see what this assignment could look like, an iteration of it. I always loved it when teachers offer student samples to see like an idea of what it kind of looks like. So I'm doing the same since that always helped me so much. Have fun with this, guys. Choose an article that you really care about. Browsers looks better. Last thing I want to go over is the brainstorm that goes with this paper here, and that's the one that is going to be due on Sunday, the end of this module. So go ahead and download it. As you can see, you're going to type in here their cultural artifact. So maybe if you're going to do this niches, or whatever it is, right? You're going to put your title there. Just like we did with the lecture, the textual analysis lecture, you're going to do the whole denotation and connotation thing. And then you're going to write a working thesis here. And I want you to have this open and use this as your guide for your thesis. And yeah, that's it for the brainstorm. That's going to be due the end of this module. All right. Oop. All right, guys. So that is that. If you have any questions about anything, just textual analysis itself, the paper, current events, whatever it may be, please let me know. And if you want to schedule a Zoom meeting, I'll be happy to do that. So let me know or shoot me a message. So with that being said, have a lovely, lovely week. See you guys.